The movie opens in 1890 London, with a few policemen and Dr. Watson traveling in a carriage led by famous detective Sherlock Holmes. He hurries inside a building and in the basement finds Lord Blackwood conducting a dark ritual, poised to sacrifice a woman for supernatural power. A guard ambushes Holmes, but Watson's timely chokehold subdues the foe. With Inspector Lestrade delayed, Holmes and Watson attack from the darkness, their skilled strikes felling guards, leaving Blackwood standing alone. Just as Blackwood was about to sacrifice the woman, Holmes seizes the knife, halting the ritual before it completes. An enraged Watson charges at Blackwood, but Holmes stops him, spotting a hidden glass blade in his sleeve. Inspector Lestrade arrives late with troops and arrests Blackwood, and claims the credit despite minimal effort. The next morning at 221 Baker Street, Watson, while attending patients, is startled by gunshots, finding Holmes testing a silencer device to muffle the sound of gunfire. Concerned for Holmes's isolation, Watson offers new cases, only to learn that the detective has solved them, leaving Watson impressed, yet exasperated. Their discussion shifts to Watson's fiancée, Mary Morstan, causing friction between the friends when Watson asks Holmes to join them for dinner. Although hesitant at first, Holmes agrees to his proposal. While at dinner, Mary challenges Holmes to deduce her past, attempting to put his skills to the test. Noting ink stains on her ears, Holmes identifies her as a governess, observing her borrowed ruby necklace and diamonds. A faint ring mark suggests a broken engagement, implying ambition and greed. Hearing this, an insulted Mary spills her drink on his face out of pure rage, clarifying to him that her fiancé died, hence she took off the ring. Disappointed, Watson and Mary leave, while Holmes quietly finishes his meal, satisfied and confident in Watson's choice. Meanwhile in prison, Blackwood reveals that his dying wish is to talk to his arch-nemesis, Sherlock Holmes. Watson delivers this news to Holmes, and as expected, Holmes goes to visit Blackwood in prison, finding his cell covered in occult symbols. The evil Blackwood greets him, and without wasting any time, retorts that both of them are bound in a journey that will change the very fabric of nature. He advises Holmes to widen his gaze as 3 more innocent will die, completing his ritual of sacrifices. Thinking it to be a bluff, Holmes departs without saying another word. Post a few hours, Blackwood is hanged till death in the presence of the policeman, and Watson checks his pulse and confirms that the evildoer is no more. Thus his dark reign ends. The next morning, Irene Adler, the love interest of Holmes, visits him while he is sleeping. She makes tea for him and employs him to find a dwarf named Luke Riordan, who used to work for Blackwood. Sherlock denies the job offer, but an adamant Irene hands him the payment in advance and post that takes her leave. She enters her carriage, where she meets with her employer, and here we get to know that it is this mysterious man who has hired Irene to employ Holmes. But while they were departing, their carriage hits a nearby beggar, who asks for some money. But to our shock, the mysterious man pulls out a handgun, threatening to shoot the poor man. As expected, the beggar backs off and they continue their journey. In a flashback, we are shown that after she departed from his apartment, he followed her discreetly while wearing a hat and an eye patch. It led him to the carriage, and here in a shocking twist, we are told that it was in fact Holmes, who had asked for some money from Irene's employer while being disguised as a beggar. This amazes Watson, but right at this moment, an inspector interrupts, announcing Blackwood's apparent resurrection. Watson, being skeptical, joins Holmes at the graveyard, where Lestrade shows Blackwood's tomb, broken from within, and the groundskeeper insists he saw Blackwood escape. Watson finds the witness too shaken, while Holmes examines stones for clues. The grave reveals Luke's body, not Blackwood's. Holmes pockets Luke's watch, leading to his lab, where they find honey-egg mixtures, dead frogs in a copper container, and a rhododendron plant, suggesting Luke's success made him expendable to Blackwood. Just when the 2 men were about to leave, 3 thugs, likely Blackwood's men, attacked to burn the lab. One of them was Dredger, who proved to be a tough opponent and gave Holmes a run for his money. But luckily, he finds an electric device that sends shockwaves and uses this to beat the huge adversary. Dredger flees to a shipyard, but unfortunately the device loses charge, forcing Holmes to run for his life, and the giant gives chase. Dredger continues to swing a huge axe at Holmes, but misses every time, only managing to break the logs holding the ship in place. Watson soon arrives and fires a couple of shots, but he too misses his mark. The logs soon give way, and the ship slides into the river, allowing Dredger's escape. The ship sinks and drags along a huge wheel and its chains, and intending to protect his dear friend, Watson jumps on Holmes to cover him up, narrowly escaping the danger. The chaos lands Holmes and Watson in jail, but Mary bails Watson out, while the Temple of the Four Orders frees Holmes. At their temple, Lord Chief Justice Sir Thomas Rotherham, Ambassador Standish, and Home Secretary Coward reveal they've suppressed the news of Blackwood's return to prevent panic. Sir Thomas discloses Blackwood's mother, a temple member, died birthing him during a ritual, marking him as evil. They urge Holmes to catch him, and he notices Sir Thomas's earlobes match Blackwood's, suggesting that he is Blackwood's father. Sir Thomas confirms his accusation with a look of guilt on his face, and while departing, Sherlock lets him know that all his family members are dead and hence he may be next on Blackwood's list. That afternoon, Holmes visits Irene's hotel and informs her that Luke Riordan is dead. He suspects that Irene may be next on the killer's list and hence proposes to her to take the next train out of the city while drinking wine from a glass. But just as he was about to say more, he feels uneasy and falls on the bed. Just before passing out, he deduces that she must have spiked the wine and then resealed the bottle, and Irene gives him a departing kiss. Meanwhile, Sir Thomas is taking a bath in his copper bathtub and soon senses someone's presence nearby. Nevertheless, he brushes it off and continues his bath. But soon, the water starts heating up and the candles go out. Out of the blue, Blackwood appears in front of him. The old man suffers for a bit and passes away without giving much of a fight. And post this, Blackwood takes the ox ring from his finger. Back at the hotel, Sherlock is rescued by the policemen who take him to the Temple of the Four Orders, where Sir Thomas was killed last night. He observes the dead body lying on the copper bathtub and soon sprays perfume in the air, which gives him the location of a hidden room where Sir Thomas had kept all the materials for the rituals carried out in the temple. He discreetly keeps the book of rituals with him and also finds the tooth of a lion, the feather of an eagle, and the bone of an ox, which he adds to his collection. That night, Standish visits the Temple of the Four Orders, as Coward calls for a meeting to decide the successor of Sir Thomas. Coward proposes that Blackwood should be the one to lead them, and Blackwood appears at the scene, shocking Standish to the core. The rest of the members agree to his proposal, but Standish remains adamant that Blackwood should never be allowed to lead such a powerful group. He therefore pulls out his gun and without hesitation fires a shot at Blackwood. But to our consternation, Standish erupts into flames and Blackwood remains unharmed, and upon seeing this, the remaining members pledge their allegiance to him. Holmes and Watson test a thug's coal-dusted hair, and this leads them to the nearest coal factory, in Nine Elms, a Thameside slaughterhouse. Upon reaching there, they discover a lab similar to the one they found in Luke's house. They also discover tracks of a machine being pulled out of the room, letting us know that someone was there a few minutes ago. Out of the blue, they hear Blackwood's voice, and out of desperation, Sherlock empties his firearm, but misses his target altogether. To our horror, we see Irene being hung from a chain, and soon, a chainsaw activates, cutting the pigs one by one. In a desperate attempt to save Irene, the two men hang themselves along with her, and just as they were about to be cut in half, the metal pipe breaks, and Sherlock manages to save his beloved in the nick of time. Having saved Irene, Watson tries to pursue Blackwood, but soon trips over a wire, initiating a chain of explosions. We come to realize that this was all a part of Blackwood's plan. The explosions hurl Watson in the air, but luckily, all the three manage to survive. Next day, Irene tries to leave the city but is apprehended by her employer, who forces her to steal Luke's device, threatening to kill Holmes in case she disobeys. Meanwhile, Holmes reflects on Blackwood's advice to widen his gaze. He finally understands that everything is somehow related to the Book of Spells and hence starts reenacting the ritual mentioned in it. He soon loses consciousness and gets woken up next morning by Irene and Watson. He reveals to them that Blackwood's method is based on a ritualistic mystical system, which is also followed by the Temple of the Four Orders. They believe that the Sphinx was the gateway to a dimension of unimaginable power. It had the head of a man, body of a lion, the wings of an eagle, and the tail of an ox. Using the map, they find out that the location of killings done by Blackwood when connected by lines form the shape of a sphinx. Luke Riordan represented the man, Sir Thomas represented the ox, Standish represents the eagle, and the lion is represented by the Parliament. Blackwood has successfully eliminated the first three, leaving the Parliament as his next and last target. But before they could alert the ministers, Lestrade arrests Holmes on Coward's orders. They take him to Coward, and there he sees some muddy boots and clay marks on his trousers. While inside the room, he stealthily blocks the exit of the fireplace. While Coward prepares his gun, Holmes asks him how many members they intend to kill in the Parliament. Impressed by his skills, Coward praises him, but as soon as he turns around to eliminate the man, he is shocked to see his room filled with smoke. While under the cover of smoke, Sherlock frees himself from his cuffs, and here it is revealed that Lestrade had given him the key before reaching Coward's office. Sherlock reveals to him how he deduced from his trousers and boots that Coward had taken an oath in the sewers beneath the Parliament just a few hours ago. Realizing that their cover is blown, Coward reveals that they are going to kill the Parliament members during noon. This fulfills Sherlock's reason of visit, and he bids farewell to Coward. He shoots at Sherlock, but the cunning detective manages to dodge them and jump out of the window into the Thames, where Watson and Irene had already been waiting for him. The trio reach the sewers under the Parliament, only to find out several men guarding a large device. This is the exact device that Luke was working on before his death. Wasting no time, Irene starts shooting at the men, taking them down one by one, and Sherlock and Watson also join the fray. After taking down the guards, Sherlock and Irene inspect the device and find out that it has cyanide gas in it, and when triggered by radio waves using a remote, will release the deadly gas inside the Parliament via the ventilation system. But just then, Dredger appears. Back inside the Parliament, Blackwood appears in front of the ministers and expresses his wish to lead the country and rule the world using the power of fear, and the Parliament members are shocked to see a revived Blackwood. He threatens that all those who don't believe in him will be killed by his dark powers, giving them the time till noon to join forces with him. Back in the sewers, Watson and Sherlock fight against Dredger, while Irene manages to disarm the device just before the clock strikes 12, and as the overconfident Blackwood uses the remote, nothing happens. A puzzled Blackwood has no clue why his device did not work and, sensing danger, flees the scene. Meanwhile, Irene flees with the canisters of cyanide, and Sherlock leaves Dredger to Watson and runs after her. The chase leads them to the top of an incomplete tower bridge, and just as she was about to come clean about her actions, Blackwood attacks, and after snatching the cyanide canisters, pushes her off the bridge. The final battle begins between Holmes and Blackwood, and just as Holmes was about to loose, he kicks an anchor off the bridge, and its rope in turn drags Blackwood down with it. He manages to grab hold of some wooden planks and manages to avert the fall temporarily. Seeing him in a helpless state, Sherlock deduces how all of Blackwood's supernatural feats were the work of science and trickery. He survived the hanging by using a system of hooks and belts to distribute his weight around his waist, keeping his neck intact. The tombstone was broken prior to his burial and put together with an ancient adhesive of honey and egg. Sir Thomas was paralyzed by a chemical agent activated by mix of copper and water, and Standish was killed by a flammable liquid compound that was poured on him in what looked like rain while he was entering the temple. Sherlock got all the clues he needed from Luke Riordan's lab. He does not kill him and cuts the rope with an axe. But right at this moment, a large iron bar falls from above, breaking the wooden planks and taking Blackwood down with it. He gets strangled in iron chains while falling, and this eventually chokes him to death, as if nature itself has punished Blackwood for his wrongdoings. Holmes discovers an unconscious Irene who fell on a set of wooden planks after being pushed by Blackwood. She confesses that her employer, Professor Moriarty, coerced her to do his bidding, exploiting her feelings for Holmes. She explains him to be just as brilliant as Holmes, and infinitely more devious. Hearing this, Sherlock bids her farewell while gently wiping the tears off her cheeks. Back at his apartment, Sherlock reveals to Mary and Watson that Blackwood had used the toxin from the rhododendron plant to induce a temporary paralysis, hence managing to deceive Watson when he checked for pulse. With these revelations, the fear ends and the chapter of Blackwood closes for good. But just then, a policeman reports a sewer murder, shot at point blank. Holmes deduces it to be the work of Moriarty, who stole the device's radio wave component after recognizing the value of the invention. Not willing to admit defeat, Holmes vows to pursue the cunning Moriarty and embarks on a new quest. This is how the movie ends. If you like this recap, please subscribe to the channel and comment what you think about the movie. Thank you for watching.